If you ever find yourself alone on a moonless night in Little Rock, Arkansas, and a deep blue cab pulls up without you calling it, don't get in. Because the meter doesn't tick in dollars. It ticks in time. I work for Moonlight Cabs. But I don't drive people to destinations. I collect souls stuck between life and death. I have 7 strange rules I must follow during my shift. Because if I break even one, I'll be the fare next time. Asterisk, you don't find Moonlight Cabs on an app. You don't hail it on the street. And you sure as hell don't call us. That we call you. It started with a letter slipped under my apartment door. No postage, no return address. Just thick, cream-colored parchment and black ink that bled through slightly, as if written with a fountain. Pen soaked in something thicker than ink. Your night shift begins at 12:01 a.m. sharp. Location, Lot B, 211, South Kirkland Avenue, Little Rock, Arkansas. Vehicle, cab number 1313, Moonlight Cabs. Your task, collect fares. Break a rule, forfeit your life. Attached to it was a smaller slip, blood-red paper with 7 rules scrawled in. Jagged script. The 7 rules of the night fare collector: never pick up a fare who looks like they're crying. They're not mourning, they're luring. If someone enters the cab without opening the door, keep driving. Do not speak to them. Do not look in the rear view. Every fare must be dropped off at the location they whisper. No matter how impossible it seems. If the radio turns on by itself, let it play. Do not change the station. Do not turn the volume down. The voice on it is watching you. Always take the route that winds left 3 times before right. It keeps you out of the other place. Do not drive between 3:33 a.m. and 3:44 a.m. Pull over. Shut off the engine. Do not look out the windows. Underscore when your shift ends. Never drive the cab home. Leave it where it began. If it follows you, run. I laughed at first. Thought it was a prank. Maybe some ARG or viral marketing stunt. But something about the way the red paper smelled, like rust and burnt hair, made my skin crawl. Still, I was 3 months behind on rent, fresh off getting fired from a warehouse job for inappropriate conduct, which really just meant I told my boss to go K himself after a double shift with no break, and desperate, so I went. Like an idiot, I went. Lot B was empty, except for one thing. A long, old-school black Crown Victoria cab. Midnight blue, almost black, with the words Moonlight Cabs faintly glowing on the side in a silvery blue script that shimmered like moonlight on water. The doors were already unlocked. The keys were already in the ignition. The air inside the cab? Cold. Too cold. Like a morgue. And sitting on the dashboard, a small brass meter. No numbers. Just a small red dial slowly ticking. Tick, tick, tick. It wasn't measuring distance. It was measuring time. The first fare, the weeping girl. I didn't have to wait long. Exactly at 12:03 a.m., a figure emerged from the shadows near a bus stop across the street. A girl, maybe 16, wearing a white hoodie soaked at the sleeves. Her hair clung to her cheeks in wet, tangled strands, and her face was hidden behind her hands. She was crying. I rolled down the passenger window slightly. Need a ride? I asked, stupidly. She didn't answer. Just slowly walked toward the cab, her sobs echoing like they were being played backward through an old cassette. As her hand touched the door handle, I remembered rule number 1. Never pick up a fare who looks like they're crying. I slammed the lock button. Her head snapped toward me, and beneath her hands, there was no face, just stretched, glistening skin, stitched together with black thread, tight and twitching. Her sobs became growls, low, wet, inhuman. She slammed her hands against the window. Cracks spiderwebbed across the glass. Then, just as suddenly, she vanished, like fog blown away by wind. The meter ticked once more. Tick, and then the radio crackled on. The voice on the radio at first, it was static. Then a woman's voice. Smooth. Velvet. But wrong. You did well, collector. The crying one was hungry. Not tonight. My spine stiffened. I looked at the radio dial. No station listed. Just a swirling symbol, like an eye, drawn in blood. Drive to the old water tower. A man awaits. He's forgotten who he is. But the fare must be collected. I didn't argue. I didn't speak. I just drove. The rest of the chapter follows. A haunting structure where the narrator picks up multiple night fares, each more disturbing than the last. A man in a business suit with no mouth, who hands the narrator a photo of his family and writes, "They're already dead," and blood on the seat. A World War II soldier who says he died in 1943 but must return to a house that's since been swallowed by a Walmart parking lot. A pregnant woman holding a baby that doesn't breathe and whispers, "Don't let the baby wake up, please." The narrator nearly breaks rule number 6. Almost drives during 3:33 to 3:44, but sees figures crawling across the asphalt with backwards limbs, tapping on the glass like bugs. He finally drops off his last fare at an abandoned church. The fare? A mirror of himself, except older, paler, dead-eyed. "You're doing well," it whispers. But the cab never forgets who breaks the rules. The chapter ends with the narrator returning to Lot B, leaving the cab, walking away, but as he turns around one last time, the cab is gone, and a soft voice on the wind hisses, "See you tomorrow night, collector." Last night, the cab disappeared. Tonight, it came back. It was exactly 12:01 a.m. again. I was standing in Lot B. Same cracked pavement, same buzzing street lamp overhead, and I swear to you, it wasn't there a second earlier, but I blinked. And like it had slithered in from some other timeline, cab number 1313 now stood waiting, its engine low and purring like some content animal. Not idling, purring. There was something different this time, though. The windshield was wet, but the night was dry, like condensation from the inside, like breath on a mirror. And when I opened the door, I swear something hissed and slid out of the front seat like steam or fog or something alive. But the worst part, on the rearview mirror, tied in a red ribbon, was a tooth, still bloody at the root. A molar. Human, not mine. And sitting in the back seat was a new slip of red paper, still curling with heat like it had been freshly printed from hell's fax machine. Exclamation mark night fare directive. Night 2 exclamation mark. Tonight's route will shift. The moon no longer favors your roads. Left, left, right, then a wrong turn. Trust only the meter. Beware the mirror at 2:17 a.m. And remember rule number 6, or the hollow men will fill your lungs. I felt my throat tighten as if someone had already started pouring sand down it. I didn't know what hollow men were, and I didn't want to. But I turned the key anyway. The cab exhaled smoke. The radio blinked to life with a voice that sounded closer now, not distant like before. Like it was right behind me, whispering into the back of my skull. "Drive, collector. Your fares await." First fare. The boy in the baseball cap picked him up on Evergreen Hollow Road, just outside an old, shut-down diner. He was maybe 10. Alone. Dirty cheeks. Chewed nails. Blue cap with a cartoon crow on it, no tears. No weird tricks. He opened the door like a human. I let him in. He didn't say a word. Just stared ahead until we passed the third left. Then, barely audible, "Take the wrong turn now." I looked around. There was no road, just thick woods, a chain-link fence, and an old rusted sign half buried in dirt that said, "Service Road, closed since 1984. The boy looked at me. "The fare's ticking. You better go." The meter was ticking faster. Teach CKTS. I turned. I drove straight through the busted fence. The trees bent outward to let us through, and everything behind us vanished. The road to nowhere. This place wasn't on any map. I drove for what felt like hours, but the clock didn't move. The cab lights dimmed, not from the battery, but like something was siphoning life from the vehicle. The road became gravel, then mud, then bone. Yes, bone. I saw white shapes below the tires, spines, ribs, knuckles, all embedded in the ground like fossils in ice. "Almost there," the boy whispered. He pointed at a crooked tree up ahead. "That's me. Right there." There was a body hanging from the tree. A boy, wearing the same HAT.MY chest seized. "You took too long," he said softly. "I was waiting last night." And when I turned around, he was gone. Just the sound of a swing creaking in the wind that I could feel, but not hear. I drove away with shaking hands. Second fare. The woman in the wedding dress, she flagged me down near an old reservoir. Long, filthy veil. Dress soaked in algae and lake water. Barefoot. Bruised. Still smiling. She got in without saying a word. I noticed her fingers were bent the wrong way. Her eyes were full of clouds. "Do you know where he is?" she whispered. I didn't answer. "He left me," he said, "till death." But death didn't stop me. I came back for my honeymoon. Her voice melted the air, made my ears ring. But the meter kept ticking. He lives in a yellow house. He has new children now. I didn't ask who. I didn't want to know. When I dropped her off at a cul-de-sac in Hill Rock, I watched her float across the lawn like fog and vanish into the shadows behind a swing set. Next morning, news report. Local man found disemboweled inside home. No signs of forced entry. Wife died 12 years ago. Time, 2:17 a.m. exclamation mark. Beware the mirror at 2:17. The directive had said SOI pulled over. Turned the mirror toward the ceiling, but I looked. I couldn't help it. And what I saw wasn't me. It was something wearing me. Same face. But wrong. Too wide. Too still. And the mouth didn't move when mine did. It just smiled. And then it said, "You're almost out of time. You know that, don't you?" I turned the mirror back. Started driving again. But the reflection didn't go away. It stayed in the corner of my eye all night. Third fare. No one gets in 3:04 am. I was near Crooked Mile Ridge when the door opened by itself. N01 visible. Rule number 2. If someone enters the cab without opening the door, keep driving. Do not speak. Do not look in the rear view. I kept driving. Hands tight on the wheel. Breath slow. Heart like a machine gun. Then, a hand reached from the back seat, covered in worms, and placed a photograph on the dash. It was my apartment. But the windows were black. Not dark. Blacked out. Like someone had poured tar across the inside. Another whisper. Low. Right behind my head. You left the door unlocked. I locked the cab. But I knew they didn't mean the car. I dropped that fare at an abandoned fairground. Didn't stop. Didn't look. Didn't speak. And as I pulled away, the radio screamed for 4.5 seconds. A sound like a pig being skinned alive. Then silence. Time. 3:33 a.m. The forbidden hour rule number 6. Do not drive between 3:33 a.m. and 3:44 a.m. Pull over. Shut off the engine. Do not look out the windows. I parked at the old Lone Tree Crossing. Engine off. Lights off. Heartbeat in my ears. I counted the minutes. 1, 2, 3. Then, the cab shook. Soft at first. Then like something was climbing across it. Scraping. Scratching. Breathing. Then tap, tap, tap on the window. From the outside. Then the inside. A whisper came through the AIC vent. Collector. Look at us. I didn't. I kept my eyes shut. I bit down on my hand to stay quiet. They whispered again. We want what's in your lungs. We'll take it tonight. Then silence. And then, a child's voice from the back seat. It's over now. You can go. I turned the engine on. The cab was covered in handprints. Some large, some impossibly small. The windshield had the word thief written in condensation. Final drop. The mirror passenger when I pulled into Lot B. I wasn't alone. The mirror me was sitting in the back seat. Grinning. Head tilted, he leaned forward and whispered. You're collecting more than fares, you know. You're collecting yourself, in pieces. He opened his mouth, and a swarm of moths flew out, all with my face. All screaming in my voice. I ran. I left the CAB. Didn't look back. Didn't turn around. When I got home, my front door was open. Inside, everything was cold. And on my bed, the cab keys, still dripping. Still ticking. Shift 2 complete. Collector integrity, 91%. See you tomorrow night. Coffin. Previously, I took the job at Moonlight Cabs to make ends meet. But by the end of night 2, I realized something chilling. I wasn't just collecting passengers. I was collecting fragments of myself. Each night, the cab took a little more. Of my time. Of my memory. Of my soul. And on night 3, I met the passengers that remembered me. 12 o'clock, 12:01 a.m. Lot B, South Kirkland Avenue. The cab was already there. Waiting. Cab number 1313. Same cold blue glow. Same smell of ash and ozone. But this time, there was a note on the driver's seat. Not on red paper like usual. On human skin, still warm. Still twitching. Written in branded text, as if seared into the surface. Exclamation mark night fare directive. Night 3 exclamation mark. Tonight's passengers are broken echoes. Fragments. They died, but remember the moment of it. And they remember you. Do not argue. Do not apologize. And do not deny. They will test your guilt. They will tempt your empathy. Feel either, and the cab will not let you out. The keys were already in the ignition. The meter was already ticking. But something new had appeared. In the rear view. A second set of eyes, just faint shapes, reflected behind me, blinking once every 10 seconds. And on the radio dial, a number now glowed faintly. Dash 666.6. I started the engine. The cab growled like it was waking up from a deep sleep. The dashboard bled condensation that smelled like cigarette smoke and embalming fluid. The radio cracked to life. Drive, collector. Tonight, your fares will be heavier. They remember dying. And they know what you are. Taxi, first fare. The fire victim. I picked her up near Lockwood Avenue, in front of what used to be a burned-down daycare. She stood still as a statue, her eyes glowing a dim orange. Her hair was crisped and floating in the air like it was still being tugged by flames. Her dress hung off her in tatters, and her skin, melted, but not dead, like wax, reshaped into something humanoid. She opened the cab door slowly and sat in silence. The smell of smoke filled the vehicle. My eyes started watering instantly that I didn't speak, didn't look, just drove. She whispered, "You were there. You watched it burn." I swallowed. "What?" She turned her head slowly toward me. "You stood on the street. You did nothing. You watched the windows light up. You heard our screams. You could have opened the door." The cab lights flickered. The meter spun in reverse. Tick, 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 tick. My hands clenched the steering wheel. "I was 17, I said. "I didn't know, but you saw us." Her hand moved. Charred bones beneath skin. She held up a tiny blue backpack. The kind toddlers wear. It was burnt to hell, but stitched in the corner, still visible. "Emma." She vanished. No exit. No sound. No door opening. Just gone. And in the rear view, I saw my 17-year-old self in the back seat, sobbing. Taxi, second fare. The suicide pact time. 1:22 a.m. Location. Sharp Creek overpass. There was a couple standing hand in hand. Man and woman. Mid-30s. Dressed for a wedding, but soaked in rain and motor oil. They didn't speak as they got in. The man's jaw was missing. The woman's wrists were bandaged in rusted barbed wire. The air in the cab turned thick, humid, like a greenhouse. She spoke first. He said we'd go together. But when I jumped, I was alone. He looked at me with dead eyes, then slowly reached into his coat and pulled out my wallet. "You were the one who found our car," she said softly. "You saw it at the edge. And instead of calling 911, you took his wallet." My chest tightened. No, I didn't. "That's not. You bought pizza with it." I nearly crashed the car. The meter now bled red fluid instead of ticking. The cab's interior mirror tilted on its own and showed a pizza box lying in the back seat. I screamed. They were already gone. 2:17 a.m. The mirror again. It was back. Same time as last night. But this time, the reflection was talking first. "Do you feel it yet? The weight in your chest. It's not guilt. It's the cab making room for what you'll become. You're not a collector anymore. You're a vessel." I tried to rip the mirror off. It didn't budge. My reflection leaned out of the mirror, physically, its mouth distended past the glass. "Your last fare tonight is someone you killed." Taxi, third fare. The drifter on Highway 41. I almost didn't stop, but the meter screamed until I did. He was leaning against a telephone pole, cigarette in one hand, blood all over his shirt. His face was hidden under a hoodie. He got in, closed the door, didn't say a word, just held out a cassette tape. "No." Label. I hesitated. He dropped it into the player. My voice came out. "Hey, you okay, man? You breathing? Shit. I think he's—" "No, wait. Just dump him behind the bar. He's OD'd. No one'll know." My blood froze. I remembered. That night. 2009, college. We were high. He passed out. I thought he was dead. I panicked. "You didn't check," the man said in the back seat. "You dumped me like garbage." I died 2 hours later. Alone. In the cold. I turned around, and the seat was empty, but my phone buzzed. A voicemail. From my number. "See you tomorrow night, murderer. 3 o'clock, 3:33 a.m. The forbidden window. I pulled over again. Did everything right. Engine off. Lights out. But the passengers didn't want to wait. They surrounded the cab. All of them. The crying girl from night 1. The toothless soldier. The burning child. The couple. The reflection. The drifter. Hands on the windows. Mouths wide open. All screaming the same word. Liar. I shut my eyes. Shut my ears. Bit my tongue until I tasted blood. When the cab's clock hit 3:45, they were gone. But the inside of the car was wet. Like something had been drooling. Person standing final fare, Malo B, 4:00 a.m. I arrived to drop off the cab. But standing there was me, not the mirror version, not a ghost. Me. From before this job. Fresh-faced, in a hoodie and jeans, looking nervous. You gonna take the gig? He asked. They said it pays good. I tried to speak, but my mouth wouldn't move. Then he got into the cab, into the driver's seat, and drove away, leaving me standing there, watching myself take the job. Again. I woke up on the floor of my apartment, covered in cab receipts, all blank, all stained in blood. The keys were in my hand, and my reflection was grinning again. Shift 3 complete. Collector integrity, 69%. Final night approaches. Warning previously, night 3 nearly broke me. I drove people who remembered dying. And worse, they remembered me, not because I was there to help, but because I let them die. Watched, ignored, lied. The cab showed me my guilt, and for a few seconds, I saw what it wanted from me. It wasn't collecting souls. It was collecting regrets. And now, it's almost done. 12:01 a.m. Lot B. The final night begins. The cab didn't appear this time. It descended. I'm serious that a thick cloud of black mist dropped from the sky, like a curtain being lowered. And out of it rolled cab number 1313. Gliding, not driving. Its tires didn't touch the ground. It stopped in front of me with the smoothness of death itself. The doors creaked open on their own. Interior lights blood red. A note was taped to the steering wheel. Not skin, not paper. A human tongue, still twitching. Words carved into it. ! Night fare directive. Final night! There is only one fare tonight. They do not want to be collected. They will lie. They will plead. They will know everything about you. If you try to drop them off, the cab will not stop. If you try to escape, the road will fold behind you. If you survive this shift, you may walk away, or you may replace the one behind the voice. I sat in the driver's seat. It was warm tonight. Not hot, not cold. Warm like fresh blood. I started the engine. It laughed. A low, mechanical chuckle from beneath the dashboard. The meter didn't tick. It breathed. And then, at 12:13 a.m., she got in. Bust in silhouette, the final fare. She was young, wearing a yellow sundress, muddy at the hem. Hair wild, eyes clear. She climbed in without hesitation. Sat directly behind me. Didn't speak. Just sighed, after a long silence. You remember me, don't you? I didn't. But my spine did. Every nerve in my back screamed. 6 years ago, she said softly. Lake Elms. Summer. You were driving too fast. I crossed the road. You hit me. I gripped the wheel. I didn't see you. But you heard me. I thought it was a deer. I didn't. You didn't stop. The meter pulsed, not ticking, throbbing, like a heartbeat. I remember lying there, she whispered, looking at the stars, wondering if I'd go to heaven. But then this cab showed up instead. My jaw clenched. I kept driving. The cab had no route now. No GPS. No voice on the radio. Only the sound of the road melting beneath the tires. Prohibited. I tried to stop. I pressed the brake. Nothing. I cut the engine. Nothing. I opened the door mid-drive. Black arms shot up from the pavement and slammed it shut. There's no getting off now, she said gently. Not until I understand. Understand what? I whispered. Why you didn't stop. Motorway. The road to regret. The cab took turns I didn't make. Past houses I recognized from childhood nightmares. Drove by scenes from my past. The girl from high school I bullied. The dog I left tied up in the snow. The grandmother I stopped visiting because the hospital smell made me sick. Every time I blinked, a new sin passed by the window. The girl in the back started aging. By the time we reached the old farmhouse, she looked 12. Stopwatch 1:44 a.m. The Memory Lane Motel. I saw it suddenly. A neon sign flickering like a dying heartbeat. Memory Lane, vacancies always open. She said, pull in. I did. The motel was empty. But one room was lit. Room 103. She got out, gestured for me to follow. Inside was a reel-to-reel film projector, already spinning. I sat on the edge of the bed as the film played. Film frames the footage I watched myself. 24 years old. Driving fast. Night. Headlights blur. A yellow blur crosses the road. There's a sound. A bump. The car swerves. Silence. I watch as I step out of the car. Look around. See her body. And then I get back in. Drive away. No call. No check. I watched myself become a monster. She's sitting next to me now. Same age again. 18. I would have forgiven you, she said. If you had stayed. If you had said anything. Tears blurred my vision. I'm sorry, I choked. I didn't. I was scared. So was I. Suddenly the projector caught fire. Flames spread to the bed. The curtains. The room disappeared into blackness, and I was back behind the wheel. 4 o'clock. 3:33 a.m. The window doesn't lie. Rule number 6. Do not look outside during this time. I couldn't help it. This time, the passenger told me to. Look. Outside the window were dozens of collectors. All versions of me. Some younger. Some older. Some rotting. All driving. All staring at me. And in every cab, the same girl sat in the back seat. Sometimes a child. Sometimes a corpse. But always her. This isn't the first time, is it? I asked. She didn't answer. 4 o'clock. 4:44 a.m. The drop off the cab finally began to slow. A hill. Gravel road. Old cemetery gate. She pointed. There. That's my grave. I parked. We got out together. She stood before a headstone that read, Julia Harper 2009 to 2027, always dancing. Now at rest. She knelt, touched the dirt. You'll go now, she said. You'll forget again. And the job will restart. Unless what? Unless you stay. In the cab. As the voice. I turned. Cab number 1313 was waiting. Door open. Seat glowing blue. I heard the radio whispering. Time to decide, collector. Stay or walk. No pedestrians the choice. If I left, I'd forget her. Forget all of them. Start over. Become human again. But if I stayed, I could warn others. Be the voice on the radio. Tell the next collector when to stop, when to survive. I stepped toward the grave, looked back at her. She nodded. Maybe you can make the next one better than you were. I walked toward the cab, slid into the passenger seat. For the first time, I wasn't driving. I was guiding. Studio microphone epilogue. The voice on the radio. If you're hearing this, then you're the new collector. You're sitting in cab number 1313. The meter's ticking. The mist is behind you. The road ahead. And you've got a job to do. Prohibited, but listen closely. Follow the rules. Especially rule number 7. When your shift ends, never drive the cab home. If it follows you, run, because it's not just the passengers that are damned. It's you. Welcome to Moonlight Cabs.